Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wales of Wall Street. Wow, we have revamped everything right now. I've got a nice new silent mouse. I've got a nice new snazzy, powerful laptop. Guys, we're going to upscale the quality of the videos as time goes by, with the studio being finalized as we speak. But until then, you're stuck with just my voice at the moment, and the occasional appearance of my face on some of the videos as well. But let's talk first of all about Quant, QNT on the exchange. Guys, this is obviously a top project, one that we've been covering for some time. I wanted to talk quickly about ISO and the standardization aspect. This is a topic that was spoken about in the aftermath of the CBOS event with the likes of many financial companies and institutions out there, Swift being the main aspect of the CBOS event, and Quant were of course present, and Gilbert was there as well from Quant. We saw about a week ago, I think, we did a Quant video where we showed a bit of the interview around CBDCs, but let's see what the guys had to say about the ISO standardizations and what we're trying to think about will come in the near future for Quant and the standardization of both the retail and the wholesale space in general as well. So let's have a quick listen for that.
Interoperability is multifaceted. It's within ISO, I mean, we're creating an interoperability framework, which not only looks at technical, it looks at legal, business, governance, and other types of interoperability, which if you bring it all together, you're creating a common set of rules between participants on how they should interact and transact, and then you're creating common protocols where they can actually talk to each other. So those two is really what true harmonized interoperability should be.
The question that you asked, when the customers think that interoperability is solved, is when all of their customers can talk to all of the customers they want to without any friction, right? And our view is there's not one vendor that's going to do that, right? You get a lot of, particularly some of the larger vendors and some of the blockchain vendors. If everybody uses our solution, it will be interoperable. That's not going to work, not at this point in the market anyway. So to Gilbert's point, the reason why we're creating standards is so that our solutions can work with other people's solutions, and this thing can be stitched together into one large global community, because it's the community, the rules for that, how the schemes work together, the jurisdictions, the formats that make it straightforward and frictionless to conduct business. That, I think, is the interoperability that we're aiming for, not a monoculture.
That's a very interesting topic and point actually from the team there, because many people always have this kind of like, I don't know, a fighting mechanism or an emotional attachment to crypto assets and assets in general that are involved in blockchain, right? There's always like this battle, who's got what, and oh, you shouldn't hold that one, it's terrible, this, that, and the other. When actually the point that was very valid there from the Quant team themselves, suggesting that they aren't just going to be the one and only opportunity for everyone, the one and only solution. They have to operate and be interoperable, big word there, which they always use, interoperable with other chains and services as well. And that includes things like APIs as well, and oracles, the SaaS aspects of organizations and companies out there too, the solutions, the services, the cloud. And this all has to come together and work together to have this interoperable aspect. And that's not just for the UK. We're talking about a global scale here, where we're looking at retail and wholesale, CBDCs, and other mechanisms that blockchain and Quant can bring. It's very important to understand that there's many different mechanisms and aspects that they need to think about when branching this out. So what I would say as well, guys, this is really cool. Go and download it off the Quant website. This is for the digital assets ready for the center stage. So this was something, a really amazing brochure that Quant put together for the CBOS event. It must have been about a month, 2 months ago now. I can't remember, but it was certainly in the past. And it's really detailed. And do you know what I loved about this brochure? It was actually, I wouldn't say it was like dumbed down, but it really emphasized everything that they were trying to do and everything that the space is trying to do as well through distributed ledger systems, distributed ledger technology, DLTs, and all the aspects of security, the standardizations, anything and everything you could possibly think of. And there's a really big cool point here about interoperability as well. The integration of things like NFTs and digital currencies. When we're talking about NFTs here, they're not just probably talking about art, we're talking about everything and anything like houses, cars, pretty much all the things that you could possibly think of that could be tokenized, right? And the utilization of blockchain to bring those to fruition, and things like ISOs and IETF the industry will adopt. Have a read of this brochure, because if you're unfamiliar with blockchain or you're unfamiliar with what Quant might be trying to achieve in this space, guys, this brochure is absolutely fantastic. And I think this really caters for various levels of knowledge and expertise and experience that you guys and myself even out there. I've read through this earlier today and I found loads of really interesting new information that I just had no idea about or even thought about, which will give me some good collateral for future videos. But of course, we talked about the CBDC element with Quant a couple of weeks ago in the last Quant video. But this one here, back to standards. These are also essential components in the brew of interoperability. There are quite a few sessions on the new ISO20022 standard to be implemented at the end of the year. ISO20022 will modernize interbank payments on the SWIFT network with additional data fields, faster transmission speeds, and new capabilities for compliance, fraud detection, and prevention. How nice and simplified is that? There's so many videos, including ourselves, I'll put my hands up, where there's so many different, not necessarily variations of how people conclude this or talk about it, but you know, some people think that it's this way or it's that way. It's just simplified. I love this brochure. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I'm even going to print it and maybe frame it. Who knows? But this was fantastic to read. But this point in particular, mentioning about the standards, ISO 20022. This isn't just the only standardization, by the way, that needs to be have integration for the new financial systems that we're talking about here. But people are always asking in the comments like, Quant doesn't have an association with ISO 20022 or this, that, and the other. Do you know what? Well, they do. They have to. If they want to be interoperable and they want to integrate CBDCs, they have to be part of this compliance. And come on, guys. The guys, Gilbert and everyone else sitting there in that video and everyone else in the Quant team are phenomenal, experienced people. Do you honestly think they're going to bring a project and a technology, an oracle, a service like Quant and not consider they have to be part of this? Come on, let's think about it now. But the fact that even mentioning it in here should be enough for people to sit there and go, oh, okay, yeah, they must be involved in some capacity. Maybe there's no official documentation in there, but in general, I think anyone with common sense would realize that these guys know what they're doing and pretty sure at the level that they are at are already talking about and thinking about this quite significantly, as are other many projects out there. I mean, let's just be critically clear here that the team in general, each individually, have around over 20 years of experience plus in their specific fields, but also particularly huge amounts of experience in the finance sector with huge backing and backgrounds in various different organizations. I mean, look at Andrew here, for example, Swift on topic, of course, Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan. Come on, let's think, guys, like this is definitely happening. And of course, even Gilbert here, look, 8 years in government, including Downing Street, HM Treasury, the Cabinet Office and Ministry of Justice. Do we want any more recognition, by the way, that Quant is going to be an absolute powerhouse for the years to come? And we're so in a great position to be able to hold this token, this beautiful gem that's going to take the storm of the financial industry, not just in the UK here, but worldwide. I'll reiterate, this brochure is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the latter pages are mainly about CBOS, to be honest, but for me, importantly, was to, this is like a proper introduction. I absolutely love this brochure. So well played to the marketing team, using all that experience there to bring this to fruition. But yes, absolutely wanted to pick up on this point as well. We also remember, this is from BIS in general. We've also got some BSI information here as well, the UK's standardization platform and protocols as well, who operate with the likes of ISO standardizations as well. Guys, 2004, this was documented, ISO 20022 repository. all about messaging, financial messaging scheme, the methodology, the movement into a new specification. There were renditions of this, changed compliances within 1999, 2013, and more recently, of course, in the recent stages, I believe 2015 and onwards. This is not something new. This has been in conversation and spoken about for a long time. The only reason that it's mainly coming into mainstream conversations right now is because, like the things we mentioned about a year or so ago, the new RTGS system, we're talking about things like Project Jura, Helvetia, to name a few, Dunbar, all these piloting systems to incorporate wholesale CBDC solutions, let alone the retail one. That's another kettle of fish. And we, of course, got the interview coming up with Digital Pound Foundation to talk about that in more detail on both sides of those stories for the UK specifically. But for me, to understand that we're coming into something very unique and special, guys, like this is on our plates. I'm still waiting for the market to come down. We'll go into a bit more topic detail about the charts and everything in a second, but I'm still waiting to it to come down a bit more and hopefully grab Quant at lower prices. You may laugh at me, you may think it's not going down. Well, if we get the momentum that I think we will with Bitcoin coming down to sub 10,000, I still truly believe this is going to happen. We could see Quant sub 100, and that is a big buy point for me, and I'm sure it is for many of you out there. But the general principle is we're on an absolute diamond gemstone here, in my opinion. Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. I think this is one of the top projects, not just because of everything CBDC related, but everything else they're doing as well. We must remember this. But yeah, for sure, it's certainly something of great interest to me when we talk about this in more detail in the charts. Let's go and have a look at that quickly. So here we got the chart of Quant in our Forte. I'm just going to quickly adjust the screen as well. Forgive me, I've got this new laptop. It's absolutely brilliant, but I haven't done all my settings yet. So let's ping that in. There we go, guys. So we've got Quant on our radar right in front of us, as we've seen before. I'm just going to reduce this slightly and pull this up so we can see the current price is around $130 of Quant. What we're looking at here data-wise is very interesting as well. So these are all the previous Fibonacci tracement placements that I put in many videos ago, and more recently this new macro one that we put in the last video. And isn't it quite interesting? I always find this fascinating. So the last couple of days we've had literally trying to penetrate this 131 marker. So what's happening right now is we're seeing a lot of resistance pretty much bang on the nose, $130. My anticipation is that we'll get a bit of stabilization around this area over the next couple of days, and we might come back to test the sort of 123, 124 mark, pretty much very much closely to the 120. Okay, and if we look historically, we mentioned this many times before. Area of interest 120. So if you're new to Quant and you're thinking, oh, I'd like some lower positions, that could definitely be one of the first DCAing options right now. I personally never tend to buy on these current existing areas that we see in front of us as it's going on an upward trend. I always try and wait for a bit of a breakdown, a lower point. And some people always argue that, oh, it's not coming down, it's always going up, it's going to the moon, blah, blah, blah. You have to look historically. This is not the first time we've been up at this 130 mark. We've had a nice fluctuating pattern across September, throughout October and into November on the drop down, okay? But look back in history, huge resistance back at this same point that we are today. It was also a minor support area for a very brief moment of time throughout the end of September and the beginning of October, respectively. If we look back further, the same patterns occur in terms of a various volatility around that area. So in the grand spectrum, we're hitting a very interesting price point. But in generalization of the market itself, the macro events and everything that's going on, in my honest opinion, I still believe this is going to come down lower. And that's not to say that it's a terrible project. You know, I don't think that anyway. I think it's an absolute beauty. But my point being is that we have to understand where we are with everything. Irrespective of how powerful Quant is, the market is not ready yet. We haven't got these piloting systems in. We haven't got the narrative in the worldwide media to say that, oh, by the way, we're switching CBDCs on and this is what's powering it. And these are the solutions. Quant being one of them, of course. We don't have that yet. So right now we're kind of playing this trading game. We're playing on the emphasis of people coming in, and scooping up and putting in good value in there. I truly believe people are holding Quant and they're trying to accumulate at any points drops possible. This is very clear to see in certainly the last couple of weeks as an example of how that's been operating. So for me personally, when I look at these RSIs at the bottom, we're currently floating around 54 and 50 on the 14 and the 28 day respectively. This is middle ground for me. It's a no point of purchasing for me right now until it comes down a bit more. And I do think that certainly an area of interest to me for a very small purchasing area would be around that 120 mark. But I am personally, honestly waiting for the lower regions of 100 again and sub 100. I still even have my purchase orders back down here at $87 still. That is not going to move. I'm not going to change my mind on that. Why do I still have that? For those that haven't seen the previous videos, we've got a huge big gap area here when we had the big bull market towards the end of last year. We had the big come down towards the middle of this year in May. Can you believe it's December? I can't believe it. It's crazy. But we've had some really good movements of Quant since these lower regions back here in June. But my point still stands. There is not enough information here historically to determine the exact support and resistance lines officially and properly. If we look way back here in 2021 in June, and for those that perhaps can't see my screen properly or whatever reason, I'll just draw this horizontal line in here to show you what I mean exactly. It's very much playing along this line here around where I've got my buy order actually, $87. Look back here, area of interest, January 2022. Areas of interest here, you can see it resisted, but it also became a mechanism of support here and here. So there's still a lot of toying to be done with Quant. That's why I've got my lower buy orders. That's what I'm trying to explain to people when they're saying, why do you have buy orders at lower regions? It's not coming down that low. It's about anticipation. And if Quant stays where it is or stabilizes around 120, fantastic. I have no qualms for the long term to be purchasing at these areas, but I know what market we're in. We're not at the end of this, guys. We've got some crazy things coming in the next few months for sure, in my opinion. But we're on an upward trend. So that's not a buying option for me. All I'm seeing here is good profit from all the Quant that I bought back at $44. You know that in previous videos I sold some of the initial investments when I was buying those 44s at 200 just to get that initial money back. But I'm playing the safe game, the DCAing game, and I'm here for the long run of Quant. And I would love to see a sub 100 selfishly because I want more Quant for the lowest price possible. But you see it on the performance indicators on the right hand side, 9% up on the week right now, 39% up on the 3 months. This is great. There's not many projects out there that can boast 3 greens in their performance indicators. 100% up on the 6 months. Just to reiterate that point I made, that we've made good progression since May and June, but I still think there's more opportunity to come. The year ago, guys, I haven't seen many assets that have this lower negativity in the red. minus 34%. That's really interesting to see. This shows you the solid confidence in this from buyers, investors, retail and wholesaler, institutional levels. I can guarantee it. Quant is in gem. So guys, that's kind of wrapping up a bit of the analysis and thoughts around Quant. I'm super bullish on this project, as you know. I think there's great things to come. I think it's still arguably under the radar. There's not a huge amount of people that talk about Quant. I don't know why. But that's fine for me because it keeps the price down lower for longer. We'll see how it goes, guys. But thanks for listening and watching wherever you are. Let us know, as I said, in the comments below, what you think about Quant. Are you excited? And what do you think as well about these integrations of the standardizations? Do you think this is a good thing? A lot of people are a bit up in arms about them as we incorporate CBDCs more and more over the next few years and the integrations come. But for me, it's absolutely exciting to see this technological advancement. Good or bad is remaining to be seen. Hopefully it's in the right hands. But I, for one, am looking forward to seeing the results of Quant as a result of this transition into the new financial world. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.